Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, a.k.a. Uncle Tex, a.k.a. Professor Tex. Just sitting up here enjoying the game and whatnot. I just seen Josh Allen threw his third pick. I tell you, man, if they had took Valoa, man, I think they'd be giving these boys the business, man, right about now and whatnot. I think my man trying to do a lot of throwing and stuff like that, and it's just like it ain't even going down like that. Obviously, in today's game, no lead is safe, in my opinion, and whatnot. So what happens is that you got a team that this is on their third string quarterback. Both the other quarterbacks is out with concussion. So we'll see what ends up happening. Buffalo should win, but we'll see, man. Buffalo ain't gone. Miami ain't gone, and they ain't going nowhere. They just picked them off for the third time. But let's get smash that like button, subscribe to the page, and I'm gonna talk about a various amount of topics and whatnot. And one of the things I'm going to start off with, because we know about the retirement of J.J. Watt. People try to put J.J. Watt in this particular category and stuff like that. And it's just like, J.J. Watt's one of the all-time best. He gets that. But I'm going to give you my quote-unquote Mount Rushmore of defensive ends in the league in the first 103 years of the league. And I have said this before. Longevity means something to me. What you do for a long period of time, or if you can dominate. Like I told you guys before, when we talk about Hall of Fame, you got to dominate for 5 or 6 years, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you got to be on that. J.J. Watt did that. J.J. Watt is a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year in the whole 9 yards. And not only that, the All-Pros, the Pro Bowls, and all that stuff. For about a 5 or 6 year stretch, for about a 5-year stretch, he was the best in the biz, and kudos to him. And whatnot. But, and I'm, like I said, various topics that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to try to knock this out in a few minutes and whatnot. But let me run it down right here, right quick, with J.J. Watt. Number five, Gino Marchetti. Gino Marchetti played at a particular time, 50s and early 60s, throughout the 50s and 60s and whatnot. So with Marchetti, right, he was the first dominant defensive end. If you look at this stuff that I got listed up here now, between being in the Hall of Fame, 11-time Pro Bowl, 7-time All-Pro, 2-time NFL champ, and plus he's in the what they call it, the all-decade team. Marchetti, 6'3", 245, which would basically be an outside linebacker, which would he played. He's a defensive end back during that particular time. And so he's number 5. He's the first superstar defensive end, if anybody wants to really talk about that and whatnot. So he did his thing. He's dominant, 6'4", 245, or 6'4", 244, however you want to put it, and whatnot. And he did his thing. And so that's deep. Miami just scored, man. So it's 15-17 right now for those who is watching and whatnot, or not watching and whatnot. That was 17-17. Tyreek just scored. Tyreek Hill just scored 2-point conversion. So that's Gino Marchetti. J.J. Watt, 6'5", 290. 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro. 2010 team, all-decade team, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, Burt Bell Award, 2014, Pro Football Writers Association Defensive Player of the Year, 3-time SN Defensive Player of the Year, Walter Payton Player of the Year, and all that stuff like that. Man, look, J.J. Watt, this is phenomenal things. I always thought he was juiced, but I don't think he was. His brother is a delight to watch. That T.J. Watt, man, the dude is like that. Kills me. Dallas actually had a chance to get him, but didn't get him, and whatnot. They took Taco Charlton and whatnot. So we all know how that happened. But you know, between 2012 2015, I mean, Watt was no better defensive player. 2018, he had another trick up his sleeve. All-Pro, first team All-Pro, and whatnot, and he did his thing. And whatnot. From that time on, he just a lot of injuries went on with him and whatnot. So that's about the only thing as far as Watt is concerned. That's number 4. Deacon Jones, number 4. Number 4, 6'5", 272. 8-time Pro Bowler, 5-time All-Pro. 1960s All-Decade team. And what, unfortunately, no championship. But doesn't matter. He coined the term the sack. And when you coin the term sack, and then that's what you did, and no apologies. And that's what I loved about the way he played. There was no apologies or anything like that from what he did, how he did it, and the manner that he did it by the time he played. He was still talking shit up until the time he passed away a few years ago. And that was Deacon. That was Deacon. You know, Deacon did his thing and whatnot. So 4, 5, 3. Number 2, Bruce Smith. 6'4", about 270. Nothing really else to say about that. 11-time Pro Bowler, 8-time All-Pro first team, 80s decade, 90s decade, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and whatnot. Went to 4 Super Bowls and everything like that. His resume speaks for itself. And the incomparable, the next first on that list, Reggie White. 13 All-Pro, 13 times, 8-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champ, 90s, 80s, 90s All-Decade team, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Gets no better than that. That's the list. I'm going to stick with it, and I'll put that up there. Your top 2 defenders. That's on my 103 team between Reggie White. I should say the 100-year anniversary. Between Reggie White and Bruce Smith and whatnot. And those are the guys who I put up there and whatnot. Because, like I said, time and time again, you got to play some years, man. You got to play some years and whatnot. Could JJ been up there high? Yes, but he wasn't. So he's right where he needs to be at. And I don't really. We'll see if anybody's going to come up and knock that down. There's probably some other guys who might have talked about something. Oh man, what about this one? Richard Dent, this that. Don't have the resume these guys have and whatnot. So going from there and whatnot. Let's go to some of yesterday's game. When Jacksonville played Dallas and came back, that was huge because up until that particular point in time, that's the thing about with Brock Purdy, where everybody's going crazy about them. The guy said Trevor Lawrence has done everything that he needs to do insofar as it's like adversity. I got to see what Brock. Everything is good now. What happens if you throw that amount of interceptions and you can still come back? That determines to me what's a good quarterback and what's not a good quarterback, in my opinion, and whatnot. Who's this and who's that and whatnot and stuff like that. Lawrence did that against Dallas game, and he did that yesterday. And he's been playing lights out, even though it's about to throw him up under the bus, more or less. And he's played some hell of a football, and kudos to him. The head coach used to be in Philly, won the Super Bowl a few years ago, and everything. And you gotta deal with him. He's something that you gotta deal with. And so deal with him. You know what I'm saying? I've always said he got that spin on that ball. He's lanky. He's a smart kid. He's a tough kid. Threw 4 picks in the first half, and it was completely just about perfect in the second half. It's a game of 2 halves, y'all. Got to play 2 halves. Got to play 2 halves of football in order to win in a lot of cases. But you got to play. The game is not over. What happened in the first half is the first half. What happened in the second half, a lot of times it don't go down that way, but it went down that way yesterday. Big win for them. Big win for them yesterday and whatnot. Purdy and what he did. Let's take a look at some of the stats. 18 for 30, 332, three touchdowns and whatnot. McCaffrey had a good game. And hey man, get kudos, man. I mean, they're playing good ball. I just want to see adversity. To put him on a particular pedestal and what he's doing and everything. To put him on a pedestal and what he's done and all that. And once you put him on a pedestal, what does he do in his adversity? He hasn't had any adversity right now. It's going to come sooner or later. It always does. So those were pretty good games. I actually missed all of that game, fell asleep. Y'all probably know why, but it is what it is. And whatnot. Speaking of the Jacksonville game, let's go to this right here. And let's run this and everything. Check this out.
I thought false start. I don't know.
We were talking, it's Joey Bosa throwing his helmet, but we were talking about this yesterday, and I'm sure that's what Bosa's complaining about.
Yep.
He got a quick start.
See, he's emotional by Joey Bosa. He's emotional. So with him being emotional, the way that he's acting, the way that he's acting and whatnot, and what he did, but there's really not a whole lot said. If he was another player, I don't think that would go on like that. He'd be known as a criminal, crybaby, and all these other different type of things that come along with doing that and whatnot. You're not to act like that. But that's San Diego. That's San Diego. San Diego is that kind of team that has had a lot of talent, a lot of big games, and that's what they end up doing. They end up falling off. They end up falling off, and that's always been the history of that franchise. So that is what they do. It wasn't a big surprise to me that what went on and what happened and whatnot. But hey, man, that's San Diego, and they're at home. Herbert didn't do nothing. Where's the big comeback? He didn't throw any picks. He didn't throw any picks or anything like that. And so Herbert, who went 25 for 43, 273 and a touchdown, no rushing. You go over there and look at Trevor Lawrence, 28 47, 288, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. Etne, the running back who played with him at Clemson, 20 carries for 109 yards. I mean, come on, y'all. I mean, we can talk about this shit all day. But like I said, at the end of the day, you still got to try to rush that ball. And you got both your quarterback is on in the second half, and then your running back is putting up some pretty good yards. Hey, man, you know, it happened. That didn't happen with Eckler. And that's no surprise. That wasn't a surprise. That really wasn't a surprise that San Diego's sitting at home. It is one of them things, man. But kudos to them, man. Kudos. They get some props for that. Now, what's about to happen now, because you're getting a lot of guys from Michael Vick to ex-players talking about the whole about the Lamar Jackson thing, and I knew. Now Vic. Now Lamar Jackson, after all this time, now he's going to look like the bad guy. He's the bad guy. Should he probably play? Maybe. But he has no contract. The contract negotiation stalled at the beginning of the year, right before during training camp at the whole 9 yards, and nothing got done. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? And we are actually talking about a player who a lot of people feel should play, even if he is hurt and whatnot. But he has to think of his future. And now it's trade talk about the Jets and the Raiders, and it is so much going on out there because this kid's not playing because of the injury. And ironically enough, this year and last year, the last 2 years, he has gotten hurt playing that shit in the pocket. Much like go back to the old Randall Cunningham, like Randall Cunningham say, I ain't never get hurt when I was scrambling. When I was in that pocket, yeah, that's where I got hurt at. So we will see in due time what's happening, what's going to happen in this situation. I want to see him play. I mean, I really don't. Simon sitting there looking at Quan and them guys that play on defense and whatnot. I really don't care to see Baltimore even play. I don't even care to, because I want to see him play, but he's not playing. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that situation. But it's now they're making him out to be the bad guy. Now they're turning him into a villain. We see what type of shit that goes on with this here. When these black quarterbacks start asking for money, it's a problem. I don't believe getting on social media talking a lot of shit, but this is the era that we're in. This is the era that we're in. So like I said, man, so I really want to see what's going to happen. He will eventually get paid, but I want to see him get in there, and I would like to have seen him play, but I understand the situation at hand, though. Buffalo's up 20-17 for those who don't know. They went down, kicked the field goal. But yeah, man, it's absolutely crazy with this whole situation. And we'll see what's going to happen with that situation. Like I tell you guys all the time, numbers don't lie and get emotional people do. There's no greatest of all time. And you guys just enjoy the rest of your evening. See what's going to happen with these games. And we'll talk with you later. Y'all have a good one.